I am so excited to be having the opportunity to chat with Amber Ruffin, who contributed new material to the upcoming Broadway revival of The Wiz. It's currently on its national tour, and you can get tickets for the April 17th premiere and the run on Broadway at wizmusical.com. I'm thrilled to have Amber Ruffin here because, Amber, you didn't so much as update the show and contribute new material as you did rewrite the entire show. It's amazing.
Oh,
but, please tell me about how you first got involved with the project.
Years ago, I think it was 2018, I rewrote The Wiz for the Muni in St. Louis. And it was, a week of shows. You know how the Muni is a huge amphitheater and it's so fun and it's so cool. And they get like real Broadway legends to come perform in their shows because everyone knows how like fun and cool it is. So anyway, they also got me, and I rewrote The Wiz for that show. And they had said, Mike Isaacson and everyone at the Muni, they were like, we are taking this to Broadway. They're responsible for a lot of Broadway revivals, including, but not limited to, I shouldn't even try to name one in case I get it wrong, but like a butt ton. So they... we're talking about how they were going to try to take The Wiz to Broadway. And I was like, okay. But then they really did. And it, is touring America right now, and we will land on Broadway. And the way that the pandemic stopped everything really made me think, oh, well, everything's over. And life itself has to start over from the beginning.
Yeah.
But not The Wiz, baby. We can.
How much of your script for the Muni is retained for this version? Because I feel like, knowing the script to the original production as well as I do, I think I can only count 3 lines.
Yeah, we really went after it. But that's what happens when you rewrite something for years and years and years, Nothing stays. There's very little from the Muni version, and the whole thing with the Muni version, where I was like, okay, we're putting up The Wiz. I think the way to write is to write what you think is the funniest thing in the world. And in the Muni version, I so shouldn't be saying this, but it struck me as hilarious to be like, Eveline's factory is making jeans, Eveline jeans. The whole thing was Eveline jeans, the only jeans guaranteed to give you a thin, flat butt. We said it. We said it in front of people.
You're laughing, but those would sell. Those would sell. Talk about the merch. I already want the locket that Dorothy has in the show. I mean, like,
what a good idea.
I think it's brilliant. This is the only piece of merch I can remember in any show that I've attended where you actually have like a replica piece that you can own, as opposed to just, I mean, I got the pin too. I've got the autograph poster for Broadway Cares, and listen, honey, I'm
yay.
But okay, so it's much changed from the Muni version. I mean, like, let's just start a little bit at the beginning. What happened to Toto?
Great. Toto was a hassle that was never worth it. That's a hill I will die on. Because if you think about it, Toto comes out, at least in The Wiz, at the beginning and at the end, and that's it. And in order to have those two, I'm going to say 4 minutes total of that dog, the amount of work you have to put into it, the cost, the dog, and I just don't think that's what a dog feels like doing.
I understand. And I think you're right about that. And I'm a Toto loyalist. I have a real life replica of a Karen Terrier named Toto that does Oz presentations with me, actually. That being said, when I first saw this show and I realized that, I was a little bit like taken aback. But by the end and walking out, I felt like it's such a smart decision because Toto motivates a lot of Dorothy's behavior. And this version is the first adaptation from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz where I can measure Dorothy's growth at that point late in the show. And she's ready to go home, and Glinda's like, you had to learn something, you had to go on this adventure. And I can look back at the show and say, I saw it. We see what you did. I think it's the cleverest, most careful story arc and character arc for Dorothy. And how intentional was that?
Oh, thank you very much. We definitely saw that was an area that had to be solid. So I'm so glad you're saying that, because we still will undergo some rewrites before we open on Broadway. We did want to have Dorothy have her true arc because that was, I think, the North Star. And then everything else was, how do we get there? So we made sure that the Lion and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow were more her peers so that she would be more affected by them. And then we made sure that she was always in touch with her feelings so that she would be more affected by the happenings of the show. And everywhere we could, we wanted to give her agency and we wanted to put her in charge. And those are the things that change you as a person. So then I think we did a lot of work to get to her having changed.
Mm-hmm. Another cut that you made was getting rid of the winged monkeys. In the Wiz Live, we saw them intentionally and carefully changed, updated to the winged warriors. At what point in the process did you just get rid of them altogether?
We sat down and we're like, okay, now it's 2023. A lot of stuff has to go. The police mice, they are gone. Everybody getting high on what I can only assume is heroin.
Yeah.
We're not smoking opium or anything. That is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also didn't want Black people to have to dress up as monkeys and call one another monkeys. That is gone. So like our eyes weren't for 2023. Our eyes are for, 2060. I want people to be able to perform this show anytime they want.
Right. I almost feel like looking back at the original production, it's almost like a period piece compared to what you did. Does feel a lot more timeless, which is truer, I think, to the spirit of Oz and Dorothy's journey, because it's universal over generations. How did you accomplish that?
It was hard. Because it really is, like, as a comedian, I am very sensitive to things that sound too old or break the fourth wall, and I, in picking out the which slang could stay and which slang had to go. I mean, jive was easy. Jive has to go. It just ages stuff too much. But then, it's like, where do you land? Because like word or bet, those to me seem timeless. Like I can imagine my dad saying those things, and I can imagine a child saying those things. So we really had to scour, anything our actors were saying, I took out. Those had to go because those guys are young.
Yes.
But I'm also a perfect test for that because I'm 44. So I can see what mom and dad want. Shoot, I am mom and dad. And I can see, what the kids are up to. So I feel like I have the perfect slang radar.
Yeah, well, you're bridging the generations, right? So it's a really unique place and the right place to be at this time. What was the most difficult choice you had to make in adapting? And also, is there something that has been cut that you are sad about?
In adapting, what was gosh, I don't think I am sad about anything we cut. And I think, I'm glad that you saw this version because I wonder what's going to get cut when we go to Broadway. That's my big question because
It's such a tight show. I don't think if we cut anything, I would actually add to it. You know what I mean? But like I know
What
that
are you talking about?
right? I mean, I know audiences aren't really here for that, but like I love how they repurposed I Was Born on the Day Before Yesterday in a very clever moment.
All the good stuff, especially those things, came from these two weeks, I want to say, that it was me, Shelley, the director, Jaquel, the choreographer, Alan, the vocal arranger, and Joseph, the arranger. The five of us sat in a room and went through the show, each beat of the show. And, everyone was saying how they want things to look and how they want the songs to feel and this and that. And we just naturally agreed on everything. And the show became so cohesive because we sat down for quite a while and went through each little beat. And I had something to say about the music, and music had something to say about the script, and choreography had something to say about the structure. And it helped a ton. It helped a ton.
I mean, I think that's amazing, and it shows. The Scarecrow is much funnier. I'm very partial to that character, but gosh, tell me, you must love the Scarecrow too.
We just we stayed nimble. Like I write on late night television. So every day I write something new, and I'm not married to anything. So I was like, hey, stretch it out and make some moves and let's see what happens. And then I wrote to each person as I got to know them. So Avery's stuff was written specifically for Avery's mouth.
Wow.
So it started out a lot different than it is now.
Mm.
And even just changing it to a phrasing, the way Avery speaks, even just changing it to that makes everything 1,000%, funnier and more genuine. And I don't think people are willing to meet actors halfway like that. But it's so important, and it's such a cheat code. It's such a cheat code.
It's so good. I mean, I want to start his Tony Award campaign right now. Lastly, let me ask you this. I finished because I could talk to you forever, but we're tight on time. I spoke to Shelley, and she answered that it would be her dream to adapt this to film as her directorial debut. Would you be on board for using this script or some version of it for a new film version of The Wiz?
Yes, 1,000,000%. Yes, 1,000,000,000%. Wouldn't it be good in the movie theater? It really would.
Yes. Has there been any talk about that behind the scenes?
Absolutely not, but there definitely should be, and likely will be.
I hope so too. It'd be amazing. Amber, thank you so much. You are incredible, and what you did is such a gift to musical theater goers, but also to Oz fans, because you did all the work and it shows. And so I just want to thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yay.